Welcome to Patio Kits Direct. So today we're going to go over our combination patio covers and some of the key components in the construction of that patio cover. Above me, you'll see a solid section combined with a lattice section. You're basically marrying the two patio covers, or even in the instructions, a solid next to a lattice. But there's a transition that a couple people get caught up on, and that's what we want to go over today, is just how to transition from a non-insulated over to a lattice cover, and kind of wrapping our brains around that a little bit. The solid cover, generally on the wall side, is a little bit higher than the lattice rafters projecting out, because you need to slope the patio cover. So in your kit, you most likely will have what is called a riser tube. A riser tube is a 3-inch by 2-inch piece of aluminum wood that you're going to place upon the header beam to rise the solid section up, so everything is level with the rafters of the lattice section, okay? So in this first part of the video, come a little bit closer, I kind of want to show you how to attach this riser tube. Using a 5/8 hole punch, you're going to drill into the top side of the 2x3 in order to screw it down, or shoot a screw down into the header beam, okay? So this is the riser tube. If you come over here, you'll notice that the riser tube is at the very edge, at the very side, up and down to the header beam of the 3x8, okay? So if we walk that down, we've already shot a screw here, but for example, I'm gonna drill a 5/8 hole, okay? Then with a number 14 sheet metal screw, if you have steel, it might be a Tex screw, but in this representation, we're going to line that up perfectly, just for the solid section, and we're going to drill downwards until that firms up, okay? So you can see now, we do that every about 2 feet. If you feel more comfortable, you could do it every foot, where you're securing that screw down into here. Now we've merged them together. It looks like part of the beam. That's the whole representation of a 2x3, is to make it the same dimension of the header beam. So in the next video, we're going to go over kind of the solid section receiving into the lattice section, okay? All right, welcome back. So part 2 of the combination cover. As we kind of dig into it, I always like to tell my customers, kind of one of the most important part is how you start your patio cover. So if you come over here, you will notice that the solid section, we're only referring to the solid. I know we're talking about a combo, but this is very important. This first pan at the edge of the cover, okay, is supposed to be the same up and down from the cap of the 3x8. And the reason being is the side fascia that caps it off, you don't want it to extend inward like that, because you'll have a gap. So it's important to have that flush to the side, okay? So in a second here, I'm just gonna turn this around. But what we came here for today is to really understand, why do we have a riser tube, okay? That riser tube is there for a purpose. If you notice on the side of the patio cover, okay, the gutter hangs down 2 inches to the bottom, okay? So see how, if you look at the level, it's the same level as the riser tube across ways, right? So we need that riser tube when we're doing a solid combination, because unless you're willing to cut your rafters or your side fascia and notch it out, it rises it up to make sure that this side fascia, where it intersects with the lattice, this is your hanger, okay? So that hanger is attached to the side fascia, and then the whole component is all going to marry together like so, right? That the gutter isn't hanging past down the side fascia to the solid cover, okay? So those will be lined up, and that's the point of the riser tube. So after you've built out, then you got the side fascia, just like in the example right there, that actually looks like a rafter. It's kind of meant to be all in one. But the real trick is, for this side fascia, leading into the lattice cover, what you need to account for is the side fascia is overproduced. In this scenario, you have tails that are lining up all together, okay? So let's use a representation. If the solid cover projecting out is 10, we produce the rafters 1 foot longer. And the reason why is solid covers aesthetically have a tail that needs to be added. So if you come here a little bit closer, you will put on the gutter, then you'll have a front fascia, and then you will have a tail. So that's a rafter bracket to the front fascia, okay? And then that tail, that'll be an inside bracket, will match aesthetically all the way down the line, okay? So let's kind of take a side view. So if you have a 10-foot projection for solid, we would make the pans 10 foot, but the rafters we would make 11, so they're all in series together, okay? So in the next video, we'll kind of go over some more screws and finish off this simple build. Thank you. Welcome back to Patio Kits Direct. Part 3 of our solid non-insulated lattice combination patio cover. Combination being from left to right on your kit. So we went over the riser tube, we went over the gutter, the tail. So the pan to riser tube screw is a number 14 tech with neoprene washer. So if you come a little bit closer, most people would shoot this screw 1 per pan, okay, on either side of the channel, okay. You can shoot 2 if you like, but that's a number 14 neo for the riser tube. On the back side, where you have a wall hanger for the solid non-insulated, you're going to shoot from the bottom side, and you always can identify the bottom side of the hanger has a little bit of a bead, a seam, to keep the screws in line without doing the math on that. So that you'll shoot 2 of those per pan from the other side, and every other locking channel you'll shoot it, and that's a number 10 SMS sheet metal screw, okay? So let's transition into the lattice portion of the cover. So now that you have your pans built out, you have the side hanger on, you have that attached to the side fascia, okay? The next principle is to make sure your spacing is a nice layout, which is about 24 inches on center. Normally, depending on your measurement, it might be a little bit smaller, a little bit greater. But the idea is about 24 inches on center. You'll have a rafter, okay? That rafter is going to have a bracket. And if you come over here, I'll show you that bracket. It's an outside bracket, okay? When you're at the lattice section, you don't need the riser tube at this point because now it's all the same level. So this rafter bracket, you're going to shoot a tech screw from the top side, staggered, 1 here and 1 here. This is the outside rafter bracket, so the rafter will slide into it from there, and you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 on either side. So at the wall side, you'll have an inside bracket. That's a 2x6 inside bracket. That's going to slip inside like so. That's going to receive it like so. And using that same screw, you're going to go 1, 2 on this side and 2 on the back side. So those are the components of tying those together. A lot of people say, well, what about the lattice tubes? The lattice tubes generally have a 2-inch spacing, whether that be a 2x2 lattice tube or a 2x3. You have a 2-inch spacing, so adjust accordingly. The screw that you're using is going to be a number 8 by 2.5 inch with neoprene washer. That's going to be long enough to tie your lattice into your rafter, like so, okay? And keep it watertight. An important feature I want you to pay attention to is when you're building a combination, the lattice tubes, if you look over here, generally butt up to the side fascia of the solid cover, okay? Unless you over order the lattice tube by 6 inches, they won't intersect like that. They will intersect like this, okay? Where it's basically butting up to it. So That should be a good overview. We suggest you look over some of the other videos and the instructions, but this gives you a good idea of the basis of building from left to right when you have a combination. Any questions, feel free to reach us at 888-851-8351, and we appreciate you purchasing with PatioKitsDirect.com. Thank you.